What's up, guys? It's Tommy McPhee, and I am here to address the question that is on everyone's minds right now. Is the NBA rigged? Now, many spectators of the Warriors versus Rockets game last night will argue that yada yada yada, the refs are making bad calls, such and such this, such and such that, it's all rigged. And I am here to tell you that I probably agree, but I doubt that the entire Rockets and Warriors teams are being paid off to do certain numbers in a game. Now, it's just not realistic in this age of social media and whatnot to expect huge flagrant rigging secrets to stay under covers, even within such an entertainment fueled industry. But it is quite reasonable to expect referees being paid off to be a commonplace activity in the NBA. And here is why I believe that. For one, instead of having to stay within the knowledge of hundreds and hundreds of people, it only have to stay within the knowledge of a few people that they're being paid off in the first place. And for two, the evidence of what actually happens in the games points to pretty poor refereeing practices, because typically these referees will not even see travels and flagrant offenses by players. And you can just look up Shaqtin' a Fool if you don't believe me. All these star players like LeBron James or Kevin Durant, some of these guys will take 6 steps and no one will call it. And obviously either the referees are blind or stoned or just do not know what they're doing if they're making such flagrantly bad calls. But I doubt they're blind or stoned because it's the professional NBA, so I would have to say they're probably being paid off to favor these star players because that's what fuels the marketing engine that is televised sports. And you can see why if you think about it, because every time a ref calls a foul, that gives the other team 3 points on average for a 2-shot foul. Granted, the 2 shots at 2 points each, and then 75% free throw rate, which if you look up the free throw rate of the average NBA player, it's actually astoundingly close to 75%. I mean, you could argue that the players that are actually in the games might be a little bit higher than that, since they're putting better players in more often, obviously. But yeah, it's about 75%. And for a 1-shot foul, it would be about 1.5 points, that means. So obviously, granted that the teams are evenly matched to begin with, which they usually are if you look at scores of NBA teams or anything like that, everyone's competing at a very similar level, realistically. Even if people see these star players as being flagrantly better than the other players, the reality is that just isn't the case. Or these star teams being flagrantly better than the other teams, it's just, it's very close. And the game is long enough to prove one over the other is in fact better sometimes, but it's always an even match. So really, the referees can have a ton of influence on the game. If you think about how many free throws and fouls there are in every game, I mean, the refs are responsible for a sizable portion of the scores. So it would be quite easy for them to favor one team over the other, especially considering there's just not enough scrutiny clearly over some of these calls. Every game pretty much has at least a couple questionable referee calls, and there really isn't an explanation for that when you're reffing at the professional level other than they're being paid off. I mean, if you think about it, these referees are obviously quite trained people. There's hundreds and hundreds of people who want to be refereeing where they are, but they're not. So that is my take on, is the NBA rigged? Tommy McPhee, I'm out.